Hello, lovely humans. This is Riki from Rikilike Magic, and Shaby says hi. So a very, very quick intro into this very new type of stuff that I want to do. As some of you may know, I am less online and kind of not doing the same stuff online as I wanted to do. Social media is making me very anxious, and kind of this connection with needing to be more, needing to make more, needing to put stuff out there was really crippling me. And with that change, I've been falling in love with my locality more and more. I have been happier around people as well, and just wanting to get to know the people around me. And then I just got really obsessed with the art that is being made in Limerick and the people who are making the art, and also questions that I have around the body and art making, and just all these things started coming together. And I had a light bulb moment where I realized I wanted to interview people. I don't know why, I just want to talk and like learn what's going on, you know, under all that. And I think just there was once a time where I wanted external validation, and now more and more I want to connect with the people around me, because I feel safer in myself as well to do that, to connect with people. But I was very, very nervous about doing this, so I didn't ask an artist that I don't know very well. I know a lot of artists here, but I don't know them. And so I spoke to Shane. Shane, you may know, maybe patrons would know Shane. Shane and I have been working together. He's filmed a lot of my dances, and we're very, very good friends. And I just wanted to try these questions on him. I am very interested in him as an artist, but you can't see, I was sweating during this interview. I told him afterwards, I had rivulets, new word for anyone, I think it means little rivers. I had rivulets of sweat pooling down me. At one point in the interview, I was like, what is that? Why is it so wet? It was me. So I know I look like I'm super confident maybe and grand all the time. I was so nervous because this feels really exciting to me, feels really important. I love art, I love the body, I love people. So I want to talk to them and figure some stuff out. It's very selfish, but quite exciting. So that's me. I hope you enjoy. That's the little intro. I'm probably not going to do an intro, or maybe I will, for each interview, but I want to start with Limerick artists, and maybe go beyond that one day. And just wanted to preface that this is an interview / podcast. Shane was calling it a podcast. You could definitely work it as a podcast. But I hope you enjoy some people chatting about art. Thanks. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Shaby says bye. Mwah.
Let's go. Let's do it.
All right. Cool. Okay.
Hi. Hello. Hi. I'm here with Mr. Shane Vaughan.
Bonjour.
One day maybe Dr. Shane Vaughan. Is that your name?
Oh yeah.
Really? Is that your name?
I could reskill as a practitioner.
No, I meant like PhD.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that would be nice. We'll
I
see.
think you told me that once.
Yeah, I think that would be nice.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm still doing the MA, so I'm.
Right. Yeah. We'll go one step at a time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We have some tea, but you can't see it in my shop because I'm very, very new at this, and I have a tiny room that I'm moving into that I'm using. Sorry. Shane, I'm so rude. I poured for myself before you.
What the hell? Or maybe that's my cup.
Maybe it is your cup. No, genuinely, when you said that, I was like, no, the fuck, that was supposed to be your cup, actually. Yeah. So I did. I poured for you. I meant it the whole time.
Oh, amazing.
So I've already.
What a great cup.
There's been, why? Why do you?
I love it.
Cup?
It's like, I don't know, like some kind of medieval artwork or something.
Yeah. Do you know who got me that?
Who?
Akila. In LYDC.
Akila.
You love Akila.
She's great.
Yeah.
Akila, if you're watching, you're great.
Good, excellent taste. So I've already introduced this, but I'm very happy to have Shane as my first interviewee because I'm really nervous. I'm sweating already and I don't know what I'm doing and I've never interviewed anyone in my life. So I wanted this to be kind of as comfortable and as natural as possible. And for that, I need someone like Shane to talk to versus any other artist in Limerick who I'm not very as close to because I'm like, what am I doing? But I'm interested. I think Limerick is class. I think Limerick artists are class, and there's something going on that I want to access. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to access. I don't think we can access truly, but I want to chat about it.
I think that something is happening in Limerick.
Do you?
Yeah,
Do you?
So I think especially, and maybe you know a bit more than me about this, but especially I think in the music scene.
How would I know more about that?
Well, I think you go to more gigs than
I do.
I don't think I've been to a gig in like 3 years.
What?
Yeah.
Really? I'm going to one tonight.
Like a live music gig. I haven't been to a live music gig in years. Actually, years. Yeah.
No, though but you film loads of stuff. Surely you've been to them, but you're working.
Yeah, but like you wouldn't call an orchestral classical strings performance a gig.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
So is that the kind of art we're talking about now? Then we're talking about this kind of more raw, undergroundy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like hip hop and rap, that kind of stuff, which isn't my genre anyway.
Yeah,
it's not
same.
the kind of thing I would really listen to. So, but I'm seeing a lot more of that breaking out of Limerick and doing really well. There seems to be a good scene for that, and it's been building over the last couple of years. That's what I kind of see. But I mean, aside from that, I think there is a good art scene in Limerick anyway. But specifically, I think there's something happening in the music scene.
I think there's something happening in general. I think we're influencing and inspiring each other in this kind of really strong, visceral way. Anyway, but we're here to talk about your artwork or your relationship with art. I have many questions. So the way I would like this to go is I would have kind of the same questions for each person, maybe worded differently based on the type of personality I'm talking to. So it's about 5. But I wanted to say at the start of my interview that you get to ask me a question at the end.
Oh, okay,
so I just want to say that so that that can be floating around for
nice.
you. So because I hate when I watch interviews myself and I'm like, they jump it on people and they're like, you can ask me one now. And then you're like, oh, yes, okay.
The pressure's on.
Yeah. So first though, to introduce you, I also hate, because I want to do this my way. I want to do these interviews my way.
Okay, cool.
I also hate when I watch people being interviewed, and this is very personal because some people are fine with introducing themselves. But when you go, introduce yourself, tell people what you do. And in art, especially if you're interested in different disciplines, if you're interested in different modes of things, it's like, are you telling me that I have to, in a couple of sentences, tell you what I do?
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that so much.
Yeah.
And some people are really good at it, but then anyway, my idea was like, I want to kind of introduce you through my perspective on you, and then you can build on it.
Nice, that's
then
really
you
good.
can kind of go, oh no, or yes. Or,
Well, it's interesting because I am also watching a lot of interviews and things like that. Like I get quite frustrated when someone's like, oh, I've got John on the show and John's like a really good musician. Tell me, John, about your practice. And John speaks for like 10 minutes about his practice, and then the interviewer's like, great, and could you tell me a bit more about the guitar? And he speaks for 10 minutes about the guitar, and you're like, what the hell? This is a monologue, not an interview. You know?
Actually, yeah, that's also another trap of like, because then they end up answering like 5 questions already in the thing, and then you're like,
and the interviewer's like,
okay,
forget that. I was going to talk to you, but you mentioned that. And you're like, yeah, but they mentioned it, but they didn't mention it.
Exactly, and you didn't elaborate. Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, you're just telling me that I'm already a professional at this. Okay.
Perfect.
No, so
pro.
Yeah. I don't remember, the day that I met you, because usually within Limerick you meet people from like either a party or a gig or a workshop or blah blah blah. So I just knew you from people mentioning you, or I met you and I was like, oh no. But then the more I got to know you, the more I was just kind of floored by, you'd be like, oh no, but I also act. So I would know Shane primarily as videoing me dancing, and then also photography. That would be the 2 things that I knew you for to begin with. But then the more I got to know you, I was like, no, he's a poet. He's a poet. He writes everything. He writes from applications to poems to anything and everything, essays and things. Loves writing. but also acts, because also this is the thing as well. Normally, what I would normally experience, people who are behind the camera are quite shy, and you're not shy, and that's where maybe the acting comes in, but also your personality and blah blah. That there was just this kind of, you can kind of have your thumb in many pies, and not even kind of. That's the artist you are. You also move. You wouldn't be a dancer, but you're very comfortable with moving your body, which I was also, So I don't know, the more I got to know you, I was like, it was everything though. It's everything. Also tech person, love technology, love economics. You know, it's just this like, everything. Is there something that you don't like doing? When I asked you to come ziplining with me, you didn't want to do it. When I asked you to go water sports with me,
not a big like adventure sports.
Okay, so we found the one thing you don't do.
Things that in the past humanity avoided because it could kill you. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of. Do you want to go diving off some cliffs? Only in an emergency.
Yes. This is an emergency. It's my birthday. Okay, thank you.
No, I wouldn't be the biggest
do you have any
sports fan.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I enjoy now. I'm watching a little bit more sports than maybe I used to in the past, just because I'm worried that my baby's going to be a big sports fan, and what if she likes a sport that I hate? So I'm introducing her to sports that I can tolerate.
Actually, how much you're worrying about being a father is like, I also have to start watching sports in case.
What if she likes like polo or something? I'm like, great.
Water polo.
Water polo, if it's fun, I'm sure. What if she likes diving?
Yeah, it's funny because you do use your body, but you're not much of like an extremely active person.
I love leisurely walks.
You do.
Yeah,
you love
I actually
walking.
really love walking.
You love walking.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you're not.
No, I wouldn't be a big.
But then, so this is interesting to me though, because when we work together, you are connected with your body in the way maybe an artist would be. I was going to say a dancer, but like you are very, because some people are like, I don't exercise, I don't do that. They're very disconnected from your body, but that's not you. You're very
No, I would
with
say
your
that I'm
body.
very connected, and I am aware when my body needs to move. For me, that is just a nice walk can really just be all I need. You know,
My mother is the same.
Really,
my mum is just happy with the walks.
Yeah, no, I think a good walk is a good long walk. 2-hour walk is as good as a cliff dive.
Just gets you to that point in 2 hours rather than
exactly. Yeah, rather than the really pushing it. But like, I wouldn't be very active, so I wouldn't be able to do a lot of that. Like, and I had asthma when I was a kid as well, so a lot of that limited me in what I was able to do. Like we used to all play around in the field, you know, the local field. Everyone has a local field.
In Ireland,
Yeah.
everyone has
We called it the green because it was grass. You know, go to the green.
And don't come back until
come back
there are bats.
when the sun sets, it's dinner time. Go to the green. It's like, why is it called the green? Because everything else is the asphalt. You know?
The gravel.
The
estate.
Exactly. You know. So it's very matter of fact.
Right.
So no, when we used to all play around in the green, I'd get really wheezy after a while, and I was really conscious of that. So I just tended not to move as much, and then I think that is just led to where I am. You know. So. Yeah.
Any other things that you would add to my introduction of you?
I would say it's been a journey.
Oh, has it?
Yeah, it has been a journey. What a walk.
Yeah. It's like a 40-hour walk.
Oh my god, what a fucking walk. But no, I would say it is funny because depending on who you talk to, they will say, "Oh, Shane the," and they'll fill in the blank.
Right.
And for me, I always kind of come back to writing and performance.
Okay.
Those would be the two things that
writing and
I always come back to. Everything gets looped back to that.
But what would you mean by performance? Do you mean you performing or being the? Yeah. Because a lot now for years you've been capturing the performance. You haven't been doing a lot of performing yourself.
Yeah. No, documenting performance is something that Lucy was doing. So
who is Lucy?
For those who don't know, Lucy is my wonderful better half. The dancer.
Yes.
And actually, like, a lot of where I am now is because of her. So like I taught myself photography years and years and years ago, but took it to a beach, and that was the end of that camera. Glass and sand, not best of friends. Got some lovely photos, but no more camera.
Yes.
So I didn't have a camera for a couple of years, and then when I met Lucy, she had 2 cameras. She had just bought a second camera because she was documenting dance performances.
Okay.
Because she's a dancer.
Yes.
And she wanted dances to be captured really nicely, so we started helping each other. I knew how to use the camera. So she was like, well, this is great, because she told me a little bit of how the video works, but I picked it up really quickly because I'd already had experience with the camera. And since then, that's become more and more of what we do, working with artists to capture performances, create promotional events, create short documentaries, create films, that kind of thing. But it's very technical, you know, it's very by the book, like kind of each promotional video is kind of the same, you know, just different people talking about different things, but you're trying to find the heart of it, you know, but they're kind of person talking, shot of what they're talking about, person talking, shot of what they're talking about, credits.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's your life.
And that's my whole life, yeah. Kind of is.
Yeah.
But like, it's not where I thought I would go, you know,
Okay.
but it's where I've gone. So because of that, I brought the camera more into my own art practice, whereas previously it was primarily writing and acting, but now it's all through the camera. So I write for the camera and I perform for the camera.
Okay.
So that's sort of where the camera is only a tool for me. That's what it is. It's a really nice tool, and I'm very good at using it.
Yes.
But it always comes back to writing the performance for me.
And writing what?
Kind of. You could be very kind and say postmodern stream of conscious writing.
Oh.
But that's just a diary.
Oh, that's a label.
Yeah.
That's just a diary.
That's what it is.
Postmodernist.
Stream of consciousness.
Stream of consciousness writing.
Yeah.
Okay, be very kind.
Very kind. Yeah, it's like, oh, well, what does that mean? So, well, it's sort of a deconstructed self-narrative about your day-to-day experiences. It's a fucking diary. So it is. It's very self-referential. It's basically, my art is a way for me to understand the things I'm feeling in my day-to-day. And sometimes it's very difficult for me to sit there and say, I'm feeling tense because A, B, and C happened. It's much easier, strangely, for me to say, imagine a character that something's happening to, what are they feeling? And then you go, oh, they're feeling what I'm feeling. That's what I'm feeling. So I sort of have to put it over there in order to really see it. That's sort of how I work.
So do you write every day?
Not every day, but definitely every week. Yeah, I write every week.
So this slides actually quite well into, these questions mightn't make any sense, so hopefully over time I'll get clearer on asking them. But I had these two questions that was like, with your art practice, what are you trying to do? And this is something I find very interesting about you as well, as your relationship with your art, which is also a separate question, so it might all just meld together. But your art, a lot of the time, it feels like you don't need it for everyone to see it. Am I right in saying that? Okay, which would be very different to me. I'm getting calmer about that, but this feeling of needing to be seen comes up a lot in me. So, but then we'll come back to that first question though. Then, with your art, what are you trying to do? And then kind of tagged onto that is a different question of, is that different to what people see you doing? So what are you trying to do? And then what do you think other people are thinking you're trying to do?
Yeah. It's such an interesting question because it's so true that we've talked about this before, the death of the author as a concept, right? You create something and you have meaning from what you've created, and somebody reads it or watches it or whatever it happens to be, listens to it, and they go, oh, it's about this other thing, and you're like, oh, fucking not.
Yeah.
It's not about that. Where the hell did you get that idea from? And you're like, but in some weird way though, it is about that because they've invented that reality
they've invested
through their interpretation, and so now it becomes real, and if enough people believe that, that is what the thing is about. Like Lord of the Rings is not about World War One. It's not. It's absolutely not about World War One.
But isn't it funny actually that just even you saying that, so even you saying no, it's not about that, it's suddenly like you've affirmed that it could be.
Yeah, so true.
Rather than whatever you do.
Yeah. No, it's so true. Yeah, even the antithesis of it is still in some way reacting to the idea of what it's trying to do.
Yes.
So no, what am I trying to say there now? So basically, I make work because I'm feeling crazy mental things, and it's a nice way for me to just get it out.
So that's what you're trying to do.
That's what
you're
I
just
do.
trying to
It's
get it
more
out.
and more. That's what I've realized. That's what I'm doing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when I was younger, it was because I was making important work.
Very important.
Very important work.
Very important. Not about World War One.
Groundbreaking.
Yeah, groundbreaking.
Never seen before.
Perfect.
Do you know what I mean?
Completely original work.
Completely original. and only upon my death would it be seen as
and appreciated for what it actually is.
I love that idea. That was a great.
Well, I mean, don't we all?
You know, it's a nice story. You know, but no, I mean, but I think when I was younger, I was trying to make things to be read, trying to make things to be seen, and I wanted to be seen very, very much. Wanted to be seen.
Yeah.
But now, not so much. Now I don't. Now I know what it's doing, which is a sort of a healing process.
Okay.
And an understanding of myself. Interestingly.
Okay.
It is nice when people see the work, and it's what I most like is actually the interpretation of the work.
Okay.
Because I know what I felt when making it, and it's interesting to me to then see what other people feel from watching.
And you don't need them to get it.
No, it doesn't bother me at all if people take something else from it, and that to me is equally fair. You know, I'm interested in that what they get rather than specifically saying it would be, okay, if I had a concept that I was very clear on, and I need people to know that I'm drinking a cup of tea and it's very much about drinking a cup of tea, and if they think, oh, it's all about coffee, I'm like, oh, crap, it's really about tea. You know, that's one way of making art, but it's not what I'm interested in.
Okay.
I'm more interested in the cup, and people go, oh, is it about drinking tea or coffee or a raspberry leaf or hot chocolate? I'm like, oh, that's interesting, you've got hot chocolate from it, and I wasn't thinking about that, but that's very fair, you know.
So then, just for some context for people who are watching who might know your work, what would you be referring to when people are giving you feedback on stuff? I've seen installations that you've made that I've really enjoyed. Like you wander around the room and Shane has particular things set up. One, you had a theremin, which is a musical instrument that you were able to play. I love participatory stuff. And then you also make things that really disturb me and make me like blah blah. So do you want to talk a little bit about what somebody might have seen that they would be giving you? Because I suppose if you're just as you're going, I thought it was about writing. What's happening there? Exactly,
So I did do a lot of writing, like specifically poetry, prose, plays, like essays, these kind of things. But lately, having gone back to college, I actually studied more about fine art camera making.
Okay.
So now my art takes place more through a camera. So it's like experimental short films. But they would be very gallery installation based. They wouldn't be, you wouldn't go to the cinema and watch them, not necessarily.
Okay.
You'd be more like
there'd be 4 people going to see that niche.
Yeah, there would, and of the 4, there'd be me, my mum, you, and one stranger who's there because he misread what the title was. And that's a sellout. You know?
See, I actually really
it's like, wow, 4 people turned on, like, yes!
See, this is like, we're getting to the crux of like what I love about you as an artist, Shane, though, is like that you're so self-aware of that, and you still will make the work you want to make, or because I'm not saying that is invaluable. I really enjoy what you make. It's just that there's this kind of, you're so fine with the 4 people could be me, your mum, and a stranger. And but I think you're wrong as well. I think you're humbling yourself, or you're being like, it just, because there's stuff that you make that's fucking class. But this is what I wanted to say as well, though, is that what I really enjoy, because I make kind of commercial stuff, or I would make more surface level enjoyable things with this thing underneath that I'm trying to work on, right? And you're so welcoming of that as well. So you're just kind of like, if it's cheesy and if it's like musical theatre, that's fine. I'm not going to make that myself. But so where does that, you're quite permeable in terms of what you'll enjoy and what you'll...
I love art.
Okay.
I just love art.
Okay.
I love
But some
all
people,
of it.
there are some, then I challenge you with, there are some people who would use the word postmodernist in their own vernacular, right? That would then look at something that I make and call it not art.
Yes.
So why do you think that I'm making art still, do you know?
Within the fine art world... Thank you.
That's my hair from hugging you earlier.
My God. Within the fine art world, I would say that... And yes, part of this is like what I'm studying as well. It's like, so what is the difference between art, creativity, and fine art?
Okay.
Because there is a difference.
Is there a difference?
Right, well there is definitely.
Okay.
100%. Look at community art, right? You go up to the Hump Museum.
Oh yeah, true.
And you do like a community event and everyone's having fun. Would that then go into a gallery?
Yes.
The Royal Hibernian Institution. You know what I mean? You know, the Tate Modern, would you put it there? You wouldn't. Would you? Why not? It's been made the same way. It's the same process. It's paint on canvas. You know, it's a person creating it.
My mentor was telling me she's bothered that everyone is called a creative. That really annoys her as well.
Yeah,
She's
it's
like
very
an
frustrating,
artist is a crafts person.
There's an article that came out in the Leader this morning looking for creative artists.
Oh, where are the creative artists?
Well, what other kind of artists are there?
Yeah.
I've never met an uncreative artist, so I mean that's sort of just nonsense to me. I don't know why you felt the need to put creative artists in it. And then, but specifically, it's the Limerick Council are looking for artists, creatives, and creative practitioners, which is even more confusing because I don't know what the difference between those three things
I
are.
think they're labeling creative practitioners as people who wouldn't necessarily make artwork, but are part of the world.
So I would call them artists.
Okay.
I would just call everyone artist. If you are in any way creative and you've made something.
Oh wait, so do you not believe everyone is creative?
I think that everyone has the capacity for creativity, but
But the innovation that happens
in
in science and in business, and I think that marks a level of creativity that these people need. It's just used in a different way.
Totally. Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, so you believe everyone is creative, but then not everyone are artists.
I mean, it's kind of more philosophical. What is
let's
creativity?
go.
What does that idea of creativity mean? Like, I mean, is it sort of? I think the beauty of art is that it can combine ideas that you wouldn't necessarily put together, which is sort of innovation can be the same thing. Right. You know what I mean by that? So it's like, I don't know, somebody took painting and instead of putting it on canvas, they painted their bodies and walked around the street. That's very creative. Not necessarily my thing. It's very creative.
But you call that art. You would accept
that's art,
that.
Yeah, for sure. That's art. Yeah.
Okay, we won't go down the massive philosophical route that I've just stepped on, but did we need to backtrack on something that we were saying?
I feel like I haven't answered your question though.
What was my question?
What was your question?
Oh, what kind of stuff have you been doing with that people would give you feedback on? So you're like writing.
No, that wasn't the question.
It was fine. Oh, you said fine art.
Yeah, what's the difference between art, creativity, and fine art? I feel like I need to still pick at that a little bit because within the fine art world there is a delineation between aesthetics of something that looks nice, that took skill to make. I'll just use painting as another example because everyone sort of accepts painting as inherently artistic. It's like cave paintings were the first thing we did, therefore all paintings are art, and that's sort of everyone accepts that. Do you know what I mean? Jeff in accounting is like, well, I know what painting is.
Yes.
So anyway, we'll stick to painting.
Nothing wrong with accountants.
Accountants are great. They're very
creative.
You love an old creative accountant. Yeah.
Everyone loves a creative accountant.
So, yeah, you have this idea of painting, right? And you look at the 19th century where you have these beautiful, realistic paintings. You know, seascapes, war paintings, you know, amazing portraits, so lifelike. You wouldn't do that now, though. You look at a portrait in the Tate Modern and it's like, doesn't look like a person at all.
Right.
You know, it's like it's 3 squares and a triangle. We're calling it a fucking portrait. Where the hell is the face? You know? So something has changed in our understanding of when something becomes fine art.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not quite sure what I'm trying to say with all of that, but I think that just needs to be said because what I'm currently doing is I'm studying a fine art master's program, which is heavily conceptual. Right, heavily conceptual. I'm making films that you wouldn't watch in a cinema.
Okay,
Maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
Right. Yeah, but that's important.
It's important to sort of understand that journey.
Yeah. You've done it. We've done it. Now moving on to my question 2.
Oh fuck. Okay.
No, but like we've pretty much talked a lot about it. But would you add anything to a description of your relationship with your artwork? And because I also hate when people are asked, describe what you make, and you're like, oh fucking, it just comes out, right?
Happens, yeah.
So then I'm more interested in in people's relationship with the way that they make art, or their relationship with their art practice. And we've talked a good bit actually about that, but is there anything that you would add to that?
Yeah, basically I sit there stewing, sometimes for days or weeks, and I'm like,
Yeah.
And then it'll be like a Sunday morning, and I'll be like, just have to get the camera out and just talk to it. And that'll just come out, and it'll just... And then I'll go, I feel way better. And what the hell is all this? And then that's like my palette, and I work with that.
Really? Yeah. Is that where because I worked a little bit with Shane recently. I was a model Yes, we do one. And was that where the looking came from?
Yeah,
really?
that was one of the things I did in college on Mondays, was just looking at the camera, humming to the camera, talking to the camera, antagonizing the camera, staring blankly at the camera. These are all different exercises that came out. Sometimes what happens is I'll take the camera out and I'm going to play with it. But more often than not, what happens is that I'm sort of having a mental fit.
Right.
And then the camera has to come out.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I've started more and more to think for myself that it's very healing. Making art is very healing. However, if we rely on it to heal us, that's a problem. But because I know you, I can kind of confidently say that you're not doing that with your work. But you do use the word healing a lot. Like, does it help? Like, are you using it as therapy?
I would say that I definitely was.
Okay. I think we all were.
For me, especially with my writing, it was a way actually to therapize myself without even realizing it, which is the danger.
Oh, is that the danger?
I think that's the danger.
Okay.
It's when you think, oh no, I'm fine now because I wrote an essay.
Yeah, yes.
I'm fine now.
Yes.
You're not.
You're not fine. You just
Well,
feel
the
a
crack
little
is
better.
thin, yeah.
It's cathartic.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that catharsis, but then it's not going to change anything.
Exactly. So I would say now it is a salve.
Oh, lovely.
Right. It's Bonjela. It doesn't cure you. Makes you feel a bit better.
It numbs you though. Bonjela actually numbs you.
So good. Just take the pain away.
Right.
Yeah, right. It's a salve, right? It's a bandage, but it's not actually fixing whatever wound is there. So what I do then is now much more so is I self-reflect. So I say, well, what is that about? Why did I have to make that? And that part of it, which I've always been very self-reflective anyway.
Yes,
but that part of it is much more deliberate.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Nice. Okay, lovely. I have a question for all artists, and you're my first person that I'm going to ask this to, right? And I don't know how I'm going to word this right. When you are making work, what do you believe is happening?
Wow.
So I had this really good talk with my mentor as well about, she used the words divine and donkey work, which I really liked. So I believe that there is a divinity in making artwork. However, it is also answering a shit ton of emails and checking if the microphone is working and, blah, 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 and then also just thinking, stewing, going for a walk, feeling full of feelings. There's just so much that comes to making the thing that then people see. That's donkey work. But it's all, there is no answer, but I want to hear people's experience of making work and what do you think is happening when you're making work.
I watched Soul the other day.
Yeah,
Disney
did you like
Soul.
it? Don't tell me you liked it.
Did you like
I
it?
hated it.
Really?
Yeah, but we'll talk about that.
Oh.
Me and my brother are the only two people who don't like Soul. Everyone I've met has liked it.
I thought it was brilliant.
Oh no!
Brilliant, yeah, really
No.
good. Really,
I thought
really
it had
good.
100 different ideas and didn't resolve any of them.
Interesting.
But now this is a Soul review channel.
Yeah, interesting. But I'm very interested to hear why you think that. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really clever, and I really liked the idea of that unconscious plane that people went to when they were sort of in a meditative state, which is a similar space that the souls before they're born go to. So I've had this idea for a long time that when you die, it's the same as before you were born.
Nice.
And do you remember what it was like before you were born? No. So don't be afraid of death.
No.
Don't be afraid of death. It's exactly the same. We've already been dead before we were born. We were unborn. That was fine. I wasn't engulfed in flames, right? But I do, and obviously, look, you can't prove any of these things, but I do think that the brain is an infinitely powerful universe, and you can construct entire realities within your brain and live there indefinitely. Now, that would probably be called mental illness. But you can do it, which is great.
But it is called mental illness. Again, we're talking about TV shows. Undone, Amazon Prime. I've told you about this, and I don't think you've watched it. Undone is incredible. It's the fine line between.
We're watching Community for the 50th time. So
yeah.
Very busy.
It's very busy.
Very
I know
busy.
you've got to rewatch that Community. It's the fine line between mental illness and magical powers, essentially, and or that universe, that power that we have. Yeah. Continue.
So when you're creating something, when I'm creating something, And I would challenge the donkey, the divine work a little bit, that notion, because sometimes for me, actually going for a walk and answering emails and pottering about the internet or whatever it happens to be is actually
part of it.
It's a part of it.
Is it a part of it? Yeah.
Because it's automatic in its own flow way.
Oh.
Because it's so straightforward. It's hi, thanks for your email. Yes, I'll be there on the 14th.
Attached is my invoice.
Yeah, please find attached and answer within 30 days. And you're sort of just doing it, and you have 10 of these to do, and I'm just doing it, and you do it. And meanwhile, something's happening back here.
Yes.
And you've gone away somewhere.
Yes.
Now, nobody would call that flow state.
Yeah, no one.
But it is exactly the same, right? It's another kind of flow state. It's like,
do you think?
I think so, yeah. I think so. I think it's tapping into the same part of your brain where a part of you is automatic and is doing without thinking, and another part of your brain is active elsewhere, which I think is almost, maybe it's the opposite of flow state, where your conscious self disappears and you just become into the work, and it's just like you vanish into timelessness. It's almost, I think it's the same thread that you're tugging on. I think it's the same thing.
I love that you just said that, because it feels like you've given me permission to watch all of the anime forever and think that I'm working. But I've only just come to terms with that. I am working. I am working when I'm watching this TV.
Yes.
I'm not being lazy.
100%.
And again, my mentor, maybe I'll have her on as well. But she was like, she said as well that her mornings are just hours of writing, walking. She doesn't dance a lot, and then she does. But she's like, she said something beautiful. She was like, I'm tending to my dance garden when I do all of this.
Yes.
And it's just this. She was like, I am working. You are working. We're all working as artists, but there's a lack of understanding in that as well. That exactly you because I wonder if it's similar for you. I have a big thought. Probably actually this was a big thought, and then 2 weeks later I'm doing this now. And but it would come up, and then I'd be doing the washing up, and then it would go away again, and then it would come up, and then things are working in the background. They are, yeah, nice. Yeah.
So I mean, I think being creative, being an artistic, or being an artist in some way, is about selfhood and thought.
Whoa!
Right? Because
you look surprised at yourself for saying that.
Where
did that come from?
Yeah, it's like, where is it?
Selfhood and thought.
It's over there in 1549, and I got it. I stole it from somebody. Selfhood and thought, because you're being yourself and you're thinking about things, right?
Being yourself and you're thinking about.
And then out it comes, and it comes out as, well, whatever it is. It's a dance piece, or it's a piece of writing, or it's a film, whatever it happens to be. So long as you are being authentically true to yourself and actually letting your brain think, which sometimes brain thinking is,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's, I'm not gonna think about it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna let it be. So long as you're doing those things, you're working.
Nice.
Because that's what being an artist is. So I always come back to this. Oscar Wilde has a great quote, which is, when a writer is staring at the window, he's at work. Right? I mean, and that is true. It's not the same as other work forms where a bricklayer is only at work when he's laying bricks, right? Because it's very practical, right?
Yeah.
Bricklayer who stares at the window, he needs to be fired. Get back in the job, right? If I go into Centra and I want a chicken roll and you're staring out the window, well, come on, chip chop. I'm hungry. I'm entitled to this. You're not working. Whereas if I ask for a poem and you sit and stare out the window, you're at work.
Yeah.
You watch anime and you go, well, who knows how that's going to filter into the next piece?
Yes.
Who knows? You can you have drawn on
Yes.
cartoons in your work. So how can you say it's not part of your process?
Part of it,
It's authentically part of yourself and your thinking. You're at work.
Yeah, and at work.
Yeah.
So then we're always at work then.
Yeah.
That's hard, man. We should be paid for this shit. And we're not. But that's a thing for another day.
Yeah, that's capitalism.
Oh no, let's not get into capitalism now. Right, now, my next question. Okay, actually we're going to take, I'm going to check if this is still recording.
Okay.
Actually.
Yeah.
Oh, 35 minutes, that's pretty good.
Cool.
I thought that was way longer.
Cool.
Great. Okay, so this question that I'm going to ask you is the first thing that came to mind that made me want to start interviewing artists, and Limerick first, and maybe the beyond. But will I tell the story? Yeah. I knew that me asking these questions would always be coming from a dancer's perspective, because that is my main art form. Obviously, I love art also, but dance is a very particular art form. And when I first had the boop in my head of like, I want to interview all the artists I know in Limerick, it was because I was really inspired by how this artist was using their body. So my question, I put a star next to it because the question isn't right, right? But it's kind of there, okay? Because I wanted, it was first going to be, what is your relationship with your body? Which is a terrible question because it's too big. Then I was like, okay, where does your body come into your work? And then I was like, well, what if I asked a dancer that, right? Then it would just be like, well, if I asked myself that, I'd be like, well, it is my work. And then that would be the answer. I'm like, no, because I want more than that. It's like, where does my body come in to my work? And then it would probably, I'd spend about an hour and a half talking. But I do want to ask, where does your physical flesh, bone, skin, body come into your work? Because we live in this thing. Dancers are particularly connected to this thing. And I would love to hear how other people's bodies are used, are maybe treated, maybe viewed. Is there a complete disconnect?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, again, we talked before about I'm not a super active person, but I am connected to the body. And I've done a few projects about my body specifically. I did a project which I'm really, really proud of. It's 3 minutes long and it's just me cracking bones. And I love it.
I hated that.
I know everyone hates it, and I love
Do
it.
you love it?
I love it because for me, cracking bones is such a release.
Okay.
Such a relief.
Actually, the cracking bones was less bad than the eye.
Oh yeah.
The eye thing.
I do lots with eyes.
Like
as well.
lots of touching.
I do a lot of work with eyes. When COVID came about, I was doing a lot of work with mouth because I was really thinking about mouths. It didn't go anywhere, but you have a project about. I want to do something with mouths and tongues and things like that. You know, I like the idea of. I don't know. I have
a project.
No, I had a project that I wanted to use you in.
Oh, cool.
Tongue flowers.
Oh, okay.
So I want to come back to mad ideas.
Yeah.
It's always good to have a couple of ideas in your pocket for rainy days.
I have like 6 of them. Yeah.
I'm interested in the visceral, which is interesting because I don't watch gore. I actually find it really hard to watch gore. I love horror.
Really?
But I don't watch any gore. No.
Yeah, because okay.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Because you do.
I do make things.
It isn't
like that,
gore what you're doing at all, but it's very.
It's visceral.
Visceral.
Yeah, very
raw,
visceral.
not raw. Visceral.
Very. Oh, thank you. I would say, and this is something that's interesting. I would not really make a lot of the art that I enjoy consuming.
Yeah, that's that about you as well. You love stuff and you would never make that stuff. Yeah? The Godfather.
Yeah. Amazing film. But there are a few things, like Charlie Kaufman is someone I would absolutely love.
Yeah.
And I would like to make things the way that he makes it in some way, you know.
Yes.
That's sort of very
Actually,
cerebral.
in some way.
Or drawing inspiration from that. But so a lot of my physical work could be about eyes, it's about tongues, it could be about cracking bones, things like that. But I wouldn't watch gore really at all. I find it very difficult to watch. So again, it goes back to why am I making that? And usually it's because there's some question on my mind, and that's just the way it's come out. So the one about the cracking bones, I was thinking about age, and I was thinking about how more of my bones are cracking than ever before, and they're cracking more often, and sometimes I feel like actually I'm in a lot of pain before I crack, and then there's that small moment, a window after I crack them where there's no pain, and then the pain comes back, and it's getting quicker and quicker. And I was just thinking about that, and it came out in this very simple 3-minute one-shot loop of me doing the bones. It's just how it came out, I could take that idea and do something else with it, but I feel like that I said what I wanted to say with it. It's just a little, almost a little. I like that people are anxious about watching it because I was anxious about feeling that. So I wanted to give them that feeling of like, well, yes, it is uncomfortable to watch because it's uncomfortable to think about your body aging. That's what I was thinking about. So my body does come into my work, but I don't really think about it too much.
And then maybe my question is actually, your body, maybe it's not about your work, the result. I actually am interested of all that thinking, that looking out the window, that living your life. maybe that's my question. Where does your body come into that? Because I think I could literally talk for a day on that question, because some of the stuff I sense, and an example. One time Shane knows I went through a very hard week a couple of weeks ago, and as this decision was coming and things were happening and stuff, I was watching this TV program that was bringing up some stuff that was happening in me, and my hand just started floating up and I just started doing this while I was watching it, and I was like, just let it happen, I don't know what's going on, but I needed to do that for some reason, and then I was just doing something, and then I understood something about myself after. Now this is why this question is so important to me, because is this a dance, is it that because we go to places in dance that I just didn't think were possible, and so then I'm like, maybe this is a dancer's training, but I was like, this is where my body comes into my work, is that it's constantly processing. So maybe it's not about the result of the work, like you've made something about cracking bones and stuff, but in your practice, in your daily life, where does your body come into your arts practice?
That's a better question.
Okay.
That's a better question.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Sort of, it's interesting because it reframes the question rather than your body as an art form or as a palette for art. It's actually more about the body as an artist.
Keep answering the question.
So it's interesting because I do a lot of like nervous tics and stuff, like tapping, and I would do a lot of this kind of repetitive kind of tapping stuff. And I used to, when I was younger, I used to count a lot. I used to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Really?
I used to count my steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2.
That's
weird. Yeah.
A bit OCD, no?
Yeah, strange. I used to do it all the time.
Right.
I still do quite subconsciously. Sometimes I'll just be like 54, 55. Whoa. I'm counting. I didn't realise I was counting. I think that's why I listen to a lot of podcasts, because then that's why it's really active. It takes out that part of your brain. So I would say that I think I had an uncomfortable relationship with the body for a long time. I never liked anything below the waist for a very long time. I hated my legs. I don't know. I have very nice legs. They're fine.
You do have lovely legs.
Thank you very much. Yeah. But I was very self-conscious about my legs for a long time, and one day I just decided not to be. I was like, I'm just having the.
Is that how easy it is?
I was like, it's too much effort.
Right.
I was like, I'm tired. They're just legs. They're fine. I just got over it. So I was like, I didn't care anymore. I didn't get over it. I just decided not to give it any more energy. I was like, I'm not going to keep thinking about this.
Nice.
I don't love my legs. They're just legs.
Yeah.
They're fine.
Yeah.
They get me places.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's like that's all there is to it, you know? So I would say that I definitely have had an uncomfortable subconscious relationship with my body. And I think that in my work that comes out as a poking. As a sort of, well, what the fuck even is this flesh pot? I have always loved the idea of being a brain floating in a tank of cerebral water. And then maybe just not even needing the tank and the brain part anymore, and just floating and being an unconscious thought drifting through the solar system. That sounds like really cool.
Do you feel trapped in your body? And I mean that not in like a, maybe not back to this uncomfortable thing, but in like a...
limited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel limited in your body?
Not really, because I float away.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
All that dissociating, that's great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is what a lot of my work at the moment is about, is the disconnect between the body and the mind. Because and this is like I don't drive, and I really don't want to learn to drive, because I float away. I just float away.
Okay.
And I come back ages later. I'm like, oh, how did I get here? So I'm quite nervous about that. Again, I'd say there's a strong disconnect between my brain and my body.
Yeah, those sounds like symptoms of that. However, that's what I find so fascinating about being human, because my experience of you isn't that. I find you very present, and I think we need to take our identities as well from the experiences of our close ones to us, because it can't just be what you feel on the inside, because then I would think I'm just a crazy person, you know. Whereas I don't get that feedback from people around me. I get the word stable a lot from people around me, so I just don't feel it at all. So I find you very present person. Nervous, and then you settle, and then you're one of the most present people I know. So it's funny that you have this inner experience that's different.
That's something I've worked on, though. I mean, yeah, that's something I've had to work on for a long time as well, you know. I think that my nervous system controlled me for a long time.
Same. Yeah.
And I allowed that to happen. Because in some ways it was quite exciting.
Yes. And you can go places.
You can go crazy places.
Yeah.
And do crazy things.
Yeah.
And people will just be like, yeah, but it's fine because they're nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So long as you're not like damaging. People will accept an awful lot of craziness actually. Because you're quite fun to have around.
True.
People love a fire starter when they're starting fires in other people's homes.
Yeah.
They're like, look at it!
Were you a fire starter?
There was a couple of years where I just wanted everything to burn down. I just wanted everything to just be gone.
Yeah.
I wanted the whole world
And
to
how
be
did
gone.
your body feel like then?
I would say electric, very electric. And I also once described having a lead balloon in my chest full of bees.
Wow.
Yeah, which was intense. Like a balloon that was expanding, but made of lead.
Lead.
Full of bees.
Full of bees.
Yeah.
There's many layers to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that was a wild time. I definitely had a lot of anxiety that was manifesting physically.
Okay.
But I think that's settled much more now. But I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, and I've had to cut all that because
it does too much
it was
to a
just
nervous
too much.
system like that.
Well, I mean, for someone who I get high on a brisk walk.
That's your cliff dive.
That's it. Jesus. Oh my 3 miles an hour. Fucking hell, lads. I got to the cafe quick. If I have 3 eggs, I'm off.
Listen, and this could be another 4 hours. I could just keep asking questions. That's probably my obsession is the body. Actually, I think the body and art. I think I'm obsessed by, but I'm not. I don't think I've ever put 2 and 2 together until I saw this artist, which I will hopefully have here one day. I saw this artist and the way he used his body. I was like, there's just so much. Even while you were talking, I started massaging my foot to keep myself grounded because I was like feeling lots of stuff. Just like and I caring about what you were saying, and then like, okay, how do I keep myself? I don't. But I'm only putting that on now. I'm only consciously going, oh, that must be because now, because we just start. Like your foot was rocking the whole time you were talking about that, but it hasn't been rocking previously. It's just so interesting.
Yeah, and this like thumbs and stuff and the self-soothing.
Exactly.
And things like this,
and I sometimes I catch myself going. Doing that, processing, the body processes, or it self-soothes, or it floats away, and then that isn't necessarily a good thing if you're trying to change something in your life that needs changing. Floating away doesn't help. You need to stay there, but then how do you stay there without going? How do you stay there in this? It's like it's so fascinating, and then that if we're living in that's doing that, then maybe how does that affect your art? How does that affect your life? I mean, how does that affect the work that you make? Are you just trying to therapize yourself, or are you trying to make sense of it, or are you trying to... It's so fascinating. It's just it's never ending.
It's interesting, the body and the mind.
Yeah, because you told me the other day, you were like, if we are just a brain.
Yeah. I know, now I'm doubting myself.
Because it was a good point, because you said... Because I was like, oh, but the gut has more nerve endings than the spine, apparently. And then you were like, but if we were a gut, we wouldn't be alive.
Right.
If we were a brain,
which I do believe.
Yes, I believe that too. But then there's stuff that the body is doing.
Yeah.
That could be controlled by the brain, but maybe the brain can't do it all.
It's a back and forth.
Yeah,
right?
it's an exchange. It's a feedback loop.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you look
this is what I'm fascinated by.
Look at the River Shannon the other day, right? The tide was really low and the water was going this way.
No way. Was it?
I've never seen the water. Normally it goes that way, out to the ocean. And I was like, it's really interesting. Parts of the ocean are coming back up the Shannon. I never really thought about it going back. You never think of rivers going the other way.
No.
It almost never happens.
Wait, was it?
It was going the other way. It was going the other way. So weird.
So weird.
And I think of the brain as a one-way system, as a river with all the information flowing out. But obviously, at times, it has to go back up. It has to.
It has to
be 2 ways. So, if you were a walking gut, you wouldn't be alive. But you're not a walking gut.
You're
a whole body, and there's
You're
lots of parts to it, and that's talking to your brain.
I really appreciate that you kind of even opened a little bit into that, because Shane would read more, you'd kind of know more in terms of, I don't know.
I know, that's your insecurity coming
That
back.
is my insecurity coming back, because my experience of life, and this is where this first question came from, I just want to ask everybody and talk about it forever, because my experience of life is not a one-way street. My experience of making artwork is not a one-way street. I went, I'm teaching morning class for a month, and I'm so nervous about it because I've never taught professional dancers before, like people who just come with their own practice and I'm just sharing my own practice. Usually I teach. I go like, this is a thing that, and I'm trying to figure out what I do, and I had a thought moment that came from not thinking recently, where I was like, and I don't know how I'm gonna share it. I live in a feedback loop. I don't live in I want to do that, so I'll do it. Especially when I'm dancing, there is something that is generating already without me even worrying about it. However, then I am reading context and environment and other people, and then there's just this So for me, it does always feel like the river's going back and back. So that's where this question comes from, is that like, where is your body in all of this? And maybe it's a deeper question, that maybe it's a quantum physics question that I'm asking actually, but it starts with the body for me.
Excuse me, headphones, back you go. I get really jealous when I look at artists who seem very clear in themselves. I don't know how you feel about this, but like if you look at, I think a lot of that is perception. Right? We don't know what's going on in somebody else's.
And what do you perceive as clear?
When somebody seems to have made a piece of art that was about one thing, and now they've made a 25-minute show, and it's still about that one thing. You're like, oh look, and I can see how every couple of minutes it leads back to that one thing.
Is it good art as well? Are you talking about good art?
I mean, even reasonably okay art. It's like, oh look, you had an idea, and then it manifested itself, and there it is. Because I think what you're talking about, I do this a lot, where it's like, well, I had an idea, and then I made a thing, and then I looked at the thing, and I turned it into something else, and then I waited a while, I looked at it, and it actually wasn't what I thought it was, so I made it into something else again, and then I put it somewhere, and it changed again. And then people say, and what's it about? I'm like, I don't know what it's about, because it's about fucking whatever the hell I was feeling in that particular moment. And if I were to put it up elsewhere at a different later date, it's completely different again. You know what I mean? And I do get quite jealous of people who seem to have these clear concepts and are able to sit with that for a long time.
Right. And it doesn't change.
It doesn't change too much. Yeah.
Because maybe they don't change too much.
Or I don't know. Maybe it's just that it's a particularly strong idea and they're able to sit with it. Maybe it's a stubbornness. Maybe it's just patience. I don't know whatever you call it. I don't do that.
I'm extremely fluid. I don't do that either.
I think that.
Do you know the only thing that anchors me is a song. So you filmed loads of it's a dance to a song. That's all I have to do, and there's great freedom in that.
That's a good way.
It's like I just dance to a song.
No, that's actually really nice, because I would say that I'm quite similar. That there's maybe one thing in it that I'm usually doing, which is usually my own face.
Yeah,
so
true.
I don't know what I'm using my face to do something. You
use your face.
Yeah, I use my face a lot. Yeah. I'm very interested in my eyes. I have lovely eyes.
Beautiful eyes.
One of those close YouTube moments now.
Yeah. I'm gonna edit it.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a giggle moment there. Yeah,
like a laugh moment. And
I'm gonna put the laugh track on.
Oh great! Yeah. Hang on, let's do the laugh track now. That's kind of creepy.
But you have beautiful baby blues, yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, wow, that was a lot. But thank you for going there with me, because there's so much there.
Yeah.
Oh, and this fluidity, this clarity. I've told you this before. I was jealous of you for a long time.
Oh yeah, which is why would anybody want to be me?
Because you're articulate and very clear about your insanity. You're very
What do you think is wrong with you? I'm completely insane.
No, so that's what I was jealous of, not the clarity about your insanity. I was jealous of how accepting you were of your stuff. I was very jealous of that, because I didn't accept my stuff at all. I'm getting there.
Yeah. Well, again, I would say time. I mean, if you'd met me...
No, time and fucking work.
Yeah.
Work.
But you met me when I was with Lucy.
Yeah. I did not meet you pre-Lucy.
Like, I was a different person.
Okay.
Like, I had an ego death. Like, I died a part of me died.
Yeah.
Some part of me died. We've talked about this before, but like there was another version of me that existed, which was not any of that. It was very much not conscious of what was happening and was causing problems in my life just so I could say, look, I can't do it because there's a problem. You're like, okay, like you made the problem. I'm stuck in a hole. You have the shovel in your own hand. I can't do it. There's a big hole.
This is your Bernard Black.
Get out. What you want?
Maybe you were Bernard Black before.
Yeah, I would very much relate to that character.
Would you? Yeah, would you?
Yeah, very
Insane.
much. Yeah. But like, here's the other thing. It wasn't just things were going wrong. There's a really great movie with Oscar Isaacs is in it, and it's set in the 60s, and what's the fuck name of the movie? I can't remember. But he plays like a folk artist. He's a folk musician, and he's not successful. And the idea is that he's working at the same time as Bob Dylan and Simon and Garfunkel and these guys, but he's someone who never made it. And a friend of mine turned around to me and said, "You would love to be that guy." And I was like, "Totally."
The guy who never made it.
The guy who never made it. I really wanted that. I wanted the life because it allowed me to scream and roar and fuck things up. Because the whole film's about that, that he's like, it's not working, and blah, 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 it's a Coen Brothers film. Why can't I remember the title? But yeah, it was like, because he's being artistic, he's being creative, he's really passionate, he's really good, misunderstood, and nobody gets him, therefore he's allowed to fuck shit up. That's what I wanted for a long time. And now I'm like, that's terrible. It's a terrible idea. Why can't you just fucking play music and be happy? It's fine too. And nobody heard it. Why don't you just did it in your own room?
It's so normal though, playing music and be happy. It's so normal.
Yeah, fuck those guys, those normies with their decent lives.
Right, that's so funny. Okay, I have 3 questions left.
Cool.
And I say it's funny because part of my whole thing, my shtick that I wanted, is I have these similar questions I'm going to ask everybody, but I want to ask a personal question to the person that I'm talking to. And it came into, now it's a little bit different to what you just said of like, I wanted to be the guy that can scream and roar and not be famous and blah, blah, and just kind of have permission to do it. But actually, I was like, what if I always wanted to ask Shane that we talk a lot, and I was like, what have I never asked him? But I think I've asked you this at like the start of this, but I've never, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna jump to the end and ask you the personal question. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then we can go back. You are so good at it's freaky what kind of an artist you are. Just the stuff that you can make, you can think about, that you can realize, that you are aware of. I'm a little bit in awe of all of your talents a lot of the time, right? You also have quite a humility about where you stand in, I don't know, like, it's, you're good, but you don't have this, like, I misunderstood, why doesn't anybody, blah, blah, blah. I think you're so good that you could be, like, very big. As in big in terms of maybe in a contemporary landscape, or big in terms of very well known in Ireland, definitely, and then blah, blah, blah. My question, I think, is, have you ever wanted to go there? Have you ever wanted to just be famous? Because you could go there. Well, I know you could, and I wonder if you know you could. And then have you ever wanted to be huge and important and famous? But this is different to the Bernard Black part of you, right? Yeah. Because now you could do that. Now you could be happy and be famous and be blah, blah, blah.
Yes. No, yes.
Yes to what?
Yeah,
yes
no,
to
totally. I did for a long time want to be widely known.
Yeah.
I
Famous.
actually would not be famous because that
It's a
implies
weird
celebrity, and I don't wouldn't want that lifestyle.
Yeah,
but
widely known.
Definitely renowned.
Yeah.
Oh, to be renowned.
Would you love to be renowned?
Oh, wouldn't that be so good?
That'd be lovely. We'll get you a bit of renown.
And you'd be in like an art book. You'd be have a little paragraph.
Yeah.
This
is, I know you're capable of that.
That'd be amazing.
And so nice. I want nice. Yeah. So then you have this like, that'd be lovely, wouldn't it? But there doesn't seem to be. I don't want like a chapter. I want like a paragraph. It's like, maybe I'll give myself that. Yeah. Be like, the Irish contemporary art landscape book, and within there's loads of amazing people, and then I have a little paragraph. And I'm in that book. That'd be amazing. Okay, but there's this like, that'd be nice. But there's no kind of
like drive for that. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, a part of that is probably fear.
Okay.
Like, well, if I really, really want that and it never happens, have I failed?
Okay.
Right. Which I don't think is true. I think I have to just get over that mentality of like, if you work your whole life to get a paragraph in an art book and it doesn't happen, but you've made an amazing body of work and you had a good time, does it really matter?
You need to, but then that's hard because you focus on the one thing, all of this stuff has happened, and then you have to change focus to go, oh, actually all of this happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what people do though.
Yeah.
They drive to get the thing.
Yeah.
And then they don't rest.
Yeah, I mean, and I think
you
some
also seem
people...
quite happy in your life.
I think it depends what you want. Like, that for me would be really nice.
Yeah.
But it's not my goal.
Yeah.
It would be like a secondary or tertiary goal. My goals at the moment are to not be super mental all the time. To have fun while I'm making work. Okay. Even if that fun comes from a place of tension, into that in some way that was worth it. To meet interesting people, to be immersed in art all the time, to make enough money to feed my family and have nice clothes and eat out from time to time. That's also very important to me. To be satisfied with the work that I'm making, that in some way it was relevant to the world and important and it's supposed to be made in some way. And then maybe to be recognised for that as someone who's decent at making art.
Is that a goal?
That would be a goal. I mean, obviously,
recognised.
Yeah, recognised as like when somebody says, "Oh, you want that kind of a thing," Shane's the guy for that.
Yeah.
That's nice. That is nice. But it's important as well to have that identity. And I think part of my problem is that I was so known as a writer.
Okay.
As a poet, which I was sort of wasn't. It was just one thing that I did. I mean, it was weird. I mean, I wrote plays and I wrote stories. For some reason, I became a poet. Suddenly, people love putting you in things as well. You're like, "Oh, that's saying the poet." I'm like, "Okay, fine, if that's what you like." So that was really key. And then when I started to transition more to fine art film, people have struggled necessarily to follow on with that. But I think it will get there. Like, I mean, I think it has definitely a part of me as a photographer, as an arts documenter. Like a lot of that has come through.
Do you find people have been finding it hard to follow?
Depends on who you talk to. They still struggle. A lot of people are like, "Oh, what are you doing at the moment?" In this sort of almost accusatory way, like, "I haven't seen a poem lately." Where are you working now? Did you stop being an artist? I'm like, "No, look at my Instagram."
Because there's no poems.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no poems, so therefore, what's the story here? Centra? Is it Centra? This is a Centra job.
Chicken roll.
Did you go to Centra? And I'm like, "No, I didn't," which would be fine if I did.
Yes.
It's a fine job. People gotta make chicken rolls. I eat them all the time. So I think there is still this little bit of a transitionary period, but I'm...
Really? But it's been many years you've been doing video, film.
Yeah. But that's the thing though, is I've been doing a video film, but I haven't really sat myself in as a video artist.
Yes, that is true.
In a way that I can say that's what I do.
That's true. But that is coming.
It is coming, for sure. It's coming. It's around the corner.
Round the corner.
Coming around the corner.
So yeah, I think that's opened up even more questions for me that I won't ask right now, but it's just so lovely. I think this question about you're so good at, that came up in me, you're so good at what you do, why aren't you trying to be famous?
Right.
Says a lot about me.
Right. Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Says a lot about maybe the worlds that I'm diving into, also the stuff, the projections that I had. Because I do find it, do you know what's funny actually is that when you have a lot of goals there that are very achievable and they're also very, they locate you in your place rather than trying to go somewhere else, which I was trying to go somewhere else, which is probably can be maybe a bit dissociative as well. But I've always said I am living my dream because I'm paying everything through dance. Because people are like, well, what are you trying to do? What so people have asked me that as well, like, what's your goal? What's your next thing? And I'm like, well, actually, and the more okay I've gotten in myself, the more I'm like, I have no goals because I am paying my bills through dance. Yeah. That is amazing. That I'm paying all of my bills through dance.
Yeah.
And then anything else is just a cherry on top. Yeah. Anything else is just glorious.
But also, like, I love my free time.
Same.
I love Sunday morning, coffee in hand, reading a book, watching The Godfather for the 4th time, Community for the 50th time. Like, I like that. Yeah. And if I can work once or twice a week in order to fund that life, I will do that. I'm not going to kill myself working 6-7 days a week.
Yeah, that's lovely.
For some, validation from an external source. Like, doesn't sound happy to me. That's not what I want. Other people, that might be what they want. That's great. Go for it. Not what I want. I don't require external validation at all.
And then I would offer to anyone's listening to this though is that I thought I wanted exactly that. sometimes you think you want it. Maybe you do want it and it's everything you dreamed of, blah, blah, blah. But I got a certain level of popularity very quickly, and it made all of my problems so much worse. I just got so much more anxious. My body went, no. And my head was trying to go, yes, this is it. Isn't this everything you wanted? So it's very dangerous, especially when you're good at what you do. When you're that's where it comes from. You are so good at what you do, you could do it. So why? And maybe then I'm like, I could do it. So why don't I want to? Why is it upsetting? Why is it blah blah blah? This is now we're getting into me territory. But I think this is where all that question came from. Is that you were again? And I was very aware that all of these questions would be a projection of. It's all my perspective. It's all good. But I mean, every interview is if it's a human talking to another human. So yeah, I think that question came because you're so like.
But it's funny because even as you say that, like, I don't really see that. I mean, again, but a lot of that is comparison. I mean, like I see.
You're chatting away to me, going, "Well, I am great, aren't I? I mean, I'm just fab."
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously.
But Shane, there's a certain. I know you're being facetious, but there's a certain. I can tell there's a certain level of. Well, I know that I can do it. Like I know that I'm good.
I think it comes back down to like part of the reason why I don't need external validation is because I don't believe other people when they talk to me.
Oh, okay, wow.
So it's like
all of this time where I was like, you're so talented, you're so good. Do you believe that? What I'm saying?
I have to tell myself that you're speaking truth and that you're not secretly lying to me for some ulterior motive. Which is like the weird paranoia that exists within me. That it's like, why would Rachel do that?
Yeah.
Why would she go through all of the trouble just to set you up in some weird Schadenfreude moment of, haha, look, you believed it.
I set up the camera, we got him.
You got it, there he is, look. I said you're good at something and he smiled authentically. Fuck you! That's what's going on.
Wow.
Mad, right?
Wow.
But I know that, so I go, just
thank you.
don't give
Smile
that anything,
out.
just say thank
Right,
you, Rachel,
right,
it's
right.
very nice. Whereas when I say I'm good at something, I know my ulterior motives. Because I'm in my own brain. And my ulterior motive is just get out of bed, you're good at this, come on. That's all it is.
How does Limerick influence your work, if at all? How does the city, the people, the environment of Limerick influence your work, if at all?
Yeah, jeez, mad fucking podcast. I've really tried leaving Limerick for a long time. Yeah, I really fucking hated it, but only because I hated myself, you know. And actually now I'm much happier being back in Limerick, which is funny because I'm doing an MA in Cork, but I love Cork as well. But it's nice to get a bit of separation from time to time. But I would say that I love Limerick, and it's a great city, and I love making work in Limerick and about Limerick and for Limerick and for Limerick people and people living in Limerick, and I think that we are an underdog and we can do amazing things, and I would love to be a part of that. And it's really nice when you see Limerick people doing well, like the rap guys, you know, like the other film guys, you know.
The rap guys, the film guys. Any names?
Oh, I don't want to like.
Oh yeah. Oh, I hear you.
Like Hazy Hayes is doing really well.
Yeah,
Shane Serrano is doing really well.
Okay,
you know,
okay.
But like, I mean,
Yeah, sorry. Maybe we
don't
shouldn't
like
name
point at
people.
people. And, like, you're doing really well. Here they are. Have them on this show.
Yeah.
But no, like they are. Like Hazy Hayes would be great to have on the show. Shane Serrano's a really sound guy. I mean, like, yeah, really cool. Producing amazing work, you know, in different contexts, you know. So, and it's really nice when you see somewhere like the Times, the Irish Examiner, or whatever, the Independent, talking about Limerick in a way that isn't crime. It's like, yeah. So no, it's nice to be a part of that community. But what's more important for me is that I am okay being part of that community. It's good. It's good.
Okay. This question comes from the question is, what's a common thread that keeps coming up in your work? However, I am the type of person that goes through phases, but I think everyone goes through phases. Like, I become obsessed with like a TV show, and then I watch you told me this as well. You'll like watch every interview about that and stuff like that. So sometimes we go through phases, but then there's this commonality that maybe we need to draw from people's feedback to know what that common thread is. For example, I apparently have a style of movement. I know I do, but I don't feel that style. So like a friend of mine was like, oh, I saw your dance work. It didn't say that you were the choreographer, but did you choreograph that? Because I could see you in it. And I was like, really? I did. You know, so there is a thing that I do. But for me, I'm in all these phases and thinking about all these different things. So my question is, what is a common thread that comes up in your work? And if you do phases, what phase are you in right now?
I mean, we talked about this a little bit already in the idea of like using up the self and the face and stuff like that. And that. I would also say that I do a lot of work about like anxiety and also calmness and finding calm through anxiety. I've done that a few times, and decay comes up a lot in different contexts. So at the moment it's decay of identity, but previously I've also done things on decay of buildings and stuff like that. And memory and time, I would say time and memory come up a lot. Memory, time and identity and decay and all those notions come up a lot in my work. At the moment it's mostly looking at sense of self. That's what I'm doing, a sense of self in relation to others and in relation even the many identities, the many parts of the brain. So that's the thing I'm doing at the moment. But definitely a lot of mental thoughts, mentalness, mentality.
Yeah. The inside of you is the common thread. And then a phase in terms of maybe day-to-day life. Is there a TV show you're obsessed with? Is there a book you're reading? Or is there something that you're thinking? Because like I've been through, I remember when I just go through phases. It just feels like I jump from one phase to the other. I loved McFly when I was a teenager. I loved The Office, the UK Office. Would watch that over and over again. And I don't know what phase I'm in now. Maybe a phase is coming.
Yeah, I definitely get obsessed with things. I'm literally watching Community for
the
50th time. Like, and it's not only is it still so good, it's better than ever. Like,
no, it's not, Shane. It ends so badly.
Oh, sorry, there are only 3 seasons.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, we're talking,
First 3 seasons.
Do you know a friend of mine watched it for the first time and she just got so horrendously angry by the last season. She was like, I'm not finishing it. I'm just not finishing. She read what the end was.
Yeah.
You're right, the first 3 seasons.
First 3 seasons. No, just watch the first 3 seasons.
Is that what you do?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, over and over. So good. Yeah. No, I do get obsessed with things. I don't know why. The Godfather, I just suddenly got a decision. I was like, I wanted to watch The Godfather again. I don't know where it came from or why it was important, but I had to do it. I don't know. I watch a lot of media, a lot of film and TV.
You do, yeah.
I do read a lot of books as well, but I definitely watch a lot of media. And I'm not. I don't know. Does it come into the work and something like I don't make, and I don't even want to make. At one point, I did want to make things like proper films, like like a gangster film or whatever, or horror film. Like I did want to do that at one point, but and I might still. I don't know. At the moment, that's not what I want to do. But I'm very interested in popular culture. And I think, going back again to almost what we were talking about at the beginning, something I'm really interested in is taking the fine art into popular culture. And at what point does it filter in? You know?
Oh, lovely. Actually, that's probably why we get along well, because our work is so different. But accessibility is really important to me as well, is that anyone can enjoy this. It's because I come from a contemporary dance background, which can be a tad elitist and a tad removed from exactly popular thought, and I don't like that. I mean, I like it. I love contemporary art, but I want other people to find a way in.
Yeah. Rachel, I need to pee. I'm desperate for the pee. I've needed to pee for the last 5 minutes.
I've actually needed to pee for like the last half an hour.
Oh, do you want to pee and then I'll
No,
pee?
you go. No, you go. My guest. And then our final question is, you just asked me a question.
I'm going to turn off our mics for a second.
So that we don't
hear
you pee. Hi. Welcome to Shibby's couch. It's Shibby's world, and we're all just playing a part in it. So it is. Are you reading the questions?
Yes. Yeah, sorry, I was just picking through. It's a nice diary.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? So we're still recording, and we're at the end. We did it. I know. I could actually see you getting a little bit tired through it. Like there's a lot of thinking happening.
Yeah, a lot of thinking. Yeah, it's good questions though. Yeah.
Thanks.
But mostly, I just had this burning sensation to pee.
Right. Actually, maybe that's what I was picking up on. I was like, some things he's not quite here anymore. It's probably that you're like, I need to pee.
I need to pee.
Am I back on? No.
No, I think that's dead.
Oh
Just a shame.
no.
But it'd be good just to compare, but yeah, because we were looking at that camera.
Yeah, we have two. We're trying things out, you know. But that's all Shane. I was like, I'll just set up my camera.
It's good to try.
Great. Final question is a question for me. Only if you want to. If there's nothing. If you're completely uninterested.
It's funny, yeah. It's almost the same thing. It's like I was talking about myself so much. I'm like, oh fuck, question for Rachel.
Right. No.
I had like an hour to think about one. It's like, yeah, but I didn't really.
No,
just
you
we
did,
were
of
talking.
course. But maybe the brain in the background
No.
was no.
No.
It was fully focused. All the parts of you were looking at the question.
Yeah. I think that I of all the questions you asked, I think the idea of the body and the brain and the whatness of what's happening there. I think that
Whatness.
yeah. I think that's what you want to find out more about for yourself through other people by hearing their ideas. So I would say not a question, but maybe think about that going forward even, and like, is that more of what you're interested in, or is it people's arts practice more generally?
Don't tell me what to do, Shane.
I will tell you what to do. I would suggest reflecting, because it's interesting, because I mean obviously you can talk about arts practice through the body, or like, yeah, it's just interesting. It's very much its own question.
But you see, the thing is though, it is its own question, but how can I find other people to talk to me about that other than dancers? And
Yeah.
you know me, maybe other people know me. I don't just care what dancers think.
No, and I think what you're doing though is really, I think what you're doing is great, and I think this is a really good route in, and I think that question about the body is the heart of your interest, more so than the other practice.
I don't know if people can talk to me about it though.
But I think that you through what we did today, I think you got to a place of, well, tell me about yourself and your practice and what you're doing, and I know this about you and all that. Anyway, let's talk about the body. You sort of soften them up.
Yeah.
You know? So that, and then they're in that place where, and again, like you said, if you're asked, I wish you'd answer, my body is my work, it's like, no, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, the body is doing something, let's talk about what it's doing.
How can I get people to talk to me? Yeah, okay.
Well, you did it today.
I'm quite, you're right, but I'm quite, I'm resistant to what you're saying to me right now, because I don't want people to think I have an ulterior motive. I really want to know about you, and I want to know what you think about art and stuff. It feels like you're telling me like you actually just want to talk about this. That's not the case.
That's fair.
But however, I think the body is a huge part of art making that people don't. People aren't, because it's the body. Like dance doesn't have language. That's why we dance. So it doesn't have language, but there's something happening. And I think I think it is all part of it. And I want to talk about that part of it as well as all of the. I'm just as interested. It's just that I'm like, there's a thing here though, and I'd like that to be just as much a part of all of the other questions I just asked. Do you get me? Because I know, because you know me so well as well, so you're able to pinpoint like, oh, Rachel was particularly electrified by this question, and I did say this was the first thing that started me on this. However, when I was looking at that question, I was like, but I can't just ask that because it's a part of the bigger whole. But it is I think it's a whole that's missing. Is that how the body processes life in order to make art. So thank you.
Yeah, and what I think is that it's be really great to say exactly that to people who maybe haven't thought about their use of body in their work. You know, thinking like Hazy Hayes, who does a lot of this like extreme, and like that kind of really intense, facial expressions and like really kind of gruff kind of stuff. He might not have thought about that, or maybe he has, and maybe there's some reason for that, and why did he do that? So that's interesting to bring that body dance perspective into other people.
I want that.
Yeah, that's very nice. So maybe it's just that, just saying that seems like a really clear approach.
Yes, yeah. That's where I'm coming from.
And that when you ask that question, to really ask it, really be okay with going, no, I'm gonna go. This is actually a multi-part layer question.
Yeah.
It's not talk to me about your body and your work, and then that's the sentence we move on. It's like, no, there's a lot happening here.
Yes.
And to really go for it, really dig.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's interesting to me, like, it's interesting to me to reflect on that.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's interesting. I learned things about myself I hadn't necessarily thought of.
Ah!
So I wouldn't think about it too much.
I think about it all the time. I think about it all the time.
Yeah, I'm all up here.
Yeah, but you see, most people are. I am too, but because I have this wonderful gateway into another way of thinking, I think this is another way of thinking. That's what I believe, that this is another way of thinking, but it is not the common thought out there. It's not a mainstream thought. No other questions for me?
I don't think it was mint tea. I don't know what
No,
it
I
was.
didn't. Shane asked for mint tea. I didn't have any, and then I was like, I think this is mint tea.
I don't actually
I
know
think
what
it was lemon and seaweed. Actually, did you like it?
In as
you
much
drank
as
the whole thing, and
well,
I kept
I
talking.
mean, look, you offered me
Oh,
tea.
stop being so nice.
Yeah, it tastes like
Seaweed.
it tastes like, you know, if you have like you boil the kettle, but there's nothing in it, and then you pour to make a cup of tea, but you forget to put the tea bag in, and then later on you go, oh, I forgot to make tea. Oh, I'll just have a cup of water. There's the water in the cup, and you drink it, and it's like a little lukewarm, and it has a slight kettle taste to it. Have you ever done that?
It's a very specific scenario.
I've actually never done that either. But if I did, this is what it would taste like. It's 3-hour-old kettle water.
Hey, how dare you? How dare you? On that note, she throws a mug in his face and tells him to leave.
That was sat like beside a lemon.
God, you really like your tea strong then, because that had taste to me. And you're like, this is kettle water standing beside a lemon.
Yeah, that tastes.
How dare you?
Nothing.
I open my home and my
close
interview
it
skills.
back again when I leave. Fucking bring my own tea next time.
That'll be a prerequisite now. The rider, bring your own tea.
Bring your own.
Because clearly mine isn't good enough. Right, we'll leave it there then, on a sour note.
There's nothing sour about it.
Thank you.
Very good.